Hello and welcome to Ask Your Academic. Today's webinar will cover the MSc Science Communications and we're joined by our programme lead. We'll do our best to cover off all the questions that have been submitted beforehand, but please use the chat box to answer anything that you think of during this session. We are recording this session, so it will be shared shortly afterwards for you to rewatch. So Anna, would you like to introduce yourself and perhaps give us an overview of the programme?
Absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name is Anna Costa. I am the program director for the Science Communications program. Helped design it from scratch, and I have been teaching it for the last 3 years, and it has been an absolute joy. I absolutely adore this program, and I think it has like so many good things about it that I'm very excited to talk about today. The program in itself will teach you a range of skills, wide, broad skills, to try and target almost like every job that you could have in science comms. And we are trying our very best to incorporate as much of it as possible and to go into depth as well so that you come out with acquired skills in it. And you'll learn anything from science journalism to how to use social media for science communications and also how to do public engagement and so on. And we are very excited that a new course will be being introduced about also TV and radio production very, very soon. So the next intake of students, if you're joining us in September, you'll learn about TV and radio as well for communications.
Oh, fab. You mentioned there it's quite you cover quite a broad range of things. What kind of background do students typically have?
So, more often than not, the students come with some science background. It could be any of the STEM areas, or STEAM now incorporates the arts as well. So, you'd have a background in some sort of science or engineering, maths, something that gives you some understanding of science. Having said that, you don't have to come with a degree in science. You can come with job experience from a science field or show us in your personal statement that you have a deep interest in science and you are willing to learn it.
It's great. So yeah, if you're considering it, definitely apply. Um, Whereabouts are the classes held? What sort of location are you at?
So we are based on the main campus at Glasgow University. So we're in the Gilmore Hill campus for most of our teaching, except for a couple of training sessions where we step out and we go into our guests' holdings, and that's usually across the river at the Science Centre.
Oh, fab. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because there is a bit of industry engagement with this programme, isn't there? So can you tell us about the opportunities students will have to kind of network and meet industry?
Yeah, so throughout the courses, so most of our courses will have guest speakers at some point. And that might be guest speakers that come to you to teach you sessions and teach you about how to get into their field. So very recently we had someone from the Wellcome Trust that spoke about how they got into their own careers in communications, how they got there, and they answered some of the questions from the students and also provided an opportunity to network with a speaker. We have people from companies and companies themselves that come and teach you how to prepare your CV, how to apply for jobs in medical communications. And we have opportunities like the Science Centre, Glasgow Science Centre, that very lucky for us. They provide a full day of training where you go into the Science Centre. You learn the basics of public engagement. You get to try out some of the exhibits there, but that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it this year. I got to play about as well, so that was really fun. You get to play with the activities they have, and then you go and start developing your own activity throughout the day, for public engagement. And usually for us, they're delivered as part of the program within the campus. So there's a science event in campus, and you would deliver your activities then. But we have some students that are keen to take it further and they're taking it to the Glasgow Science Festival in summer as well. And I'm very proud of those activities. But yeah, there's plenty of speakers that come around. I think I was doing a count the other day. I think we have about 13 guests from different fields, from different businesses, from different areas that come in and talk to the students at some point in the training.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? That's really good. We're often asked about the research project, and it's such a big part of the MSc. Can you tell us a bit more about that? So, the process for choosing a topic, a supervisor, things like that.
So that was really fresh in my memory because it's happening right now, the choosing of the projects. So, science communications, our projects will be a bit different from the other ones within the same school that you'll be in, just because of the nature of the program. You're more on the communication side rather than being lab-based. Supervisors normally submit options for projects, and at the end of February, we have a lovely list of all the projects that are provided by different members of staff of the university or even external partners that offer projects within their industry as well. And then you'll pick your first, second, and third choices of projects, and you'll hopefully be assigned your first choice if no one else has picked the exact same project as you. But most times you do get your first choice. And then you'd go and start speaking to your new supervisor. So that all happens around February, March time, and then it gets to May, and that's when the projects start. Now, the science communications projects are a problem-solving basis. So your supervisor will give you a challenge, communication space. It could be that they're trying to communicate something in their field to a general audience, and you will think about an alternative way of communicating it. So we've had students that have created board games, we've had students that created documentaries, and we've had students that created like short info videos that are made in cartoon style so that it can be targeted for children, for example. And they were learning about whether using voiceovers or not using voiceovers changed the message of the video. So you could go into anything and have a lot of fun with it while you're trying to create your novel communication for the science.
And that's really different, isn't it, to like a lot of our other MSCs? That sounds really fun. Um, I think a lot of people are often surprised about the transition from undergrad study to postgraduate study and the level of self-study that's involved. Can you give us a bit of an idea of that? So, like, how much class time a student will have versus what's expected out with that class time?
Yeah, so this is the transition. If you're coming straight from undergraduate, it'll be a bit startling at first, but I've seen that students just slot right in and you find your way quite easily around. And we're here to help as well. We're here to help you with that transition. So the very first course will support students a little bit more to help, like just slot right in there. So you'll have a little bit more hours of teaching in the very first course in the program. So that you have more contact hours and less independent study. And then after that, you start having a bit more independent study. So in this program, you tend to have about 5 hours a week of face-to-face time with your teaching staff. And you're meant to do about 3 times more independent study in your own time. So you do 15 hours throughout the week. It's not too much. It depends on your speed of learning. And sometimes you have two courses running at the same time. So that is 10 weeks of 10 hours of teaching. So it has a bit more like 30 hours of self-learning as they expected. Now, that's not standard across all the weeks. So some weeks will be easier. Some weeks will be more loaded, especially if you're the kind of person that leaves the assessments to the last minute. So that might be a rush, and I'm not judging. I am a last minute person. So maybe at that point you'll feel a bit more overwhelmed if you've left it to the last minute, but it's always doable, and we've always had our students hand in on time.
Yeah, I think as someone that is quite last minute myself, my advice to people is always don't do that. Try and keep on top of it. Um,
Do what I say, not what I do. Good.
yeah. And what about the assessments? I'm guessing they're quite mixed for this MSc as well.
They are. So the more traditional assessment, so the thing that might feel more like your undergraduate if you're coming from a science degree is the very first assessment. So the very first course is a literature review, a small literature review. It's not a full dissertation, it's just a short, like three to 5 pages long. And you'll do a lit review on a topic of your interest. So students get to choose their own topic of interest. So it could be something that you're familiar with. It could be something that you have a deep interest in and you want to learn a bit more of. And honestly, like it's always nice to see where it goes. By choosing the topics, we learn a lot about the students. And then it becomes a bit more creative. So from there, you go to science journalism, where your assessment is to create an audio or visual podcast. and to write a news feature. And you go into Gen AI where you use Gen AI to create healthcare related outputs. You have at the same time now we're adding the TV production, so you'll create maybe a short documentary, very short, very small. And you also create a plan for a TV show, imagine, or a TV episode. So if you were part of a certain TV show, how would you produce that show for an episode on a topic of your interest? That takes us to semester two, where you get even more creative. The very first course is digital media, so using social media for science communications, and students analyze current campaigns that exist, but they also create campaigns as if they were part of like a company. So this year, for example, we had one that was imagine you are part of the National Trust for Scotland, create a couple of videos to show what we do, kind of thing. You also have medical communications where you learn how to do medical communications and how to create those outputs based on the instructions you get from industry. And you have the public engagement course where you go and create an activity as part of a group. So you'll be working with others and then you deliver it over the Easter break as part of the spring fling at the university.
Wow, really nice. You touched on it there. We actually had a question submitted beforehand, and it was that they were interested to hear about generative AI that was included within the MSc, um, and they were sort of talking about how can you use it in settings where truth and accuracy matter. And I suppose that's something you probably explored in the course, but I'd just be interested to hear your initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, so that's what the course does. So you're not using Gen AI to replace your work in that course, and I think that's the main message that we want to convey. You're using Gen AI to support your work. So how can you reduce your work hours, but also make sure that the communications are still 100% accurate? So you'll spend time scripting prompts and engineering prompts to feed to Gen AI. And then you have to do the fact checking. You have to make sure that everything is correct. Also, how about tweaking and making sure that the information is readable, that you don't have that lovely figure that has letters and no one can read that don't exist in any alphabet on the planet. Um, you'll also learn about the ethics of the use of AI, how to give it proper credit, how to say, yes, it's my work, but I used AI to support me. Um, and you'll generate output. So you'll use AI, for example, for generating leaflets, information leaflets for healthcare specialists and so on. But it is your role in that to make sure that everything is coming out correctly and is being properly analyzed. And you'll learn how to do it in the course.
That sounds really interesting. Um, and in terms of after university, what kind of career or jobs can students potentially go into?
So I'll speak from the past students. So we've seen some students going to medical communications, because you'll get industry in as part of the program that come in and show you how the admission tests are done for the interview tests and everything and how to prepare your CV for it. So it's a really nice segue to get in there and get into that kind of role. Um, we also have students that want to do paid internships as part of our collaborator work. So we collaborate with a Glasgow University-based magazine, a creative magazine called Physiodyssey, and we've had students go into internships there to develop their skills a little bit further in editing. And more often than not, we have students that end up in some sort of social media role in industry.
Well, so it's really varied, isn't it? And I guess those skills, like it could really open up a lot of different doors as well that you're
Mhm.
working on. And I think the last question I've got here is how can a student best prepare themselves to start their MSc in September?
So I built this program in a way that we will show you the ropes from the start. So you don't really have to do much before you come in. What I suggest, though, if you want to make the most out of the program, is over the next few months, maybe read some news, science, STEM news, whatever you like to read. and start paying attention about how they're written. So instead of noticing what they're reporting, notice about how they write it, how where's the hook? What grips your attention? What makes you want to read that piece? What makes you not want to read that piece? And do the same for TV. If you're watching a documentary, if you're watching a TV show, like imagine you click on BBC and you want to watch a show about how humans came about, start paying attention to what you think went on backstage, how they made the decisions for the time of the day that the show is shown on TV, who's the audience, and just start thinking about these things. And it's quite fun actually to do.
Yeah, so your homework is literally just watch some TV.
I mean, it's pretty much the homework that you get in the program as well. Go and watch this
Brilliant.
documentary.
All for education. That's really good. And that, I suppose that takes the pressure off as well, doesn't it? Like if you're just kind of listening for enjoyment, but while you're doing that, just picking up on different things that you notice, which actually is very interesting when you do something like that. Thanks very much, Hannah. We've got just a wee bit of time. I don't know if there's anything we've not covered. We've covered a lot, but is there anything that we've not covered that you'd like to mention? Are you quite happy?
I think I'm quite happy. I'm happy to take questions as well. If people want to email me with questions, you're more than welcome. My email's literally my name, anna.costa@glasgow.ac.uk. Feel free to get in touch if you have questions or find me on LinkedIn as well. It's whatever works for you.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much, Hannah, for your time today. I know how busy you are. So thanks for speaking to us. And like Hannah said, any questions, get in touch. We've also got our email address on the programme webpage as well. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you all come September time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.